Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the careful cook herself, Sandy Reevy.
For my sick peoples.
Yes. And let's see, it is episode 315, the week of August 5th. Let's get right into it. We start the week off with one singular day, August 7th, Wednesday, with two transits, Sun sextile Jupiter.
Yeah, actually, I really like this day. It's the only transit that's going on. It's called announcement.
And August 7th again, we end the week with Mercury retrograde conjunct Venus.
Apologies or rules.
Then in Talisman time, Sandy has an upcoming talisman to create harmony with intellectual growth. Also on the horizon, we have our webinar, forecast, and retreats coming up. And in our house, Sandy went out on a time-left dinner. Learn more about the app and what it's all about. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you.
Hello, careful cook.
I know why, because I was cooking for you. Well, I just cooked really. I could have cooked more. You've been sick.
I've been sick.
Super sick for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is why our podcast is a little late.
Mm-hmm.
You were way too sick to even get up and record.
It's true, but I'm feeling better and on the mend. You might hear me cough every now and then here on the episode, so I apologize. But yes, thank you for being such a careful cook and such a good one at that, because the spaghetti and meatballs was just the comfort food I needed to feel better.
I know, it's kind of like we go to comfort food versus like really healthy, like,
right?
Some sort of spaghetti squash, right? But, I've been cooking for Jim, our friend who is battling. And so I cook for him. And just like to gain
you got
weight.
Like a Meals on Wheels type situation going on.
You pop over to me, you
pop over to him. Yeah. So I want to go direct to all of our listeners. Thank you so much for continuously listening to our podcast. And I received a message from Shelly from our last podcast. She said, OMG, Alex, that was a marvelous meditation. I loved everything about it. The drums, oh my gosh, did they make me start moving? Have a great day. Love always. So I'm glad it's an activating one.
Yeah, it's the Leo. It's the pounding of the heart. It's like a heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. Well,
the aliveness.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Your meditations are, so superb for what it is one needs, and and you've got a whole bevy of them, so you could choose. Do you want to calming of the mind? You want to revel up, or you want to
activating of the body, like the Leo one.
Yeah,
igniting the fire. So yeah, of course, if you are interested, head to wherever you listen to your podcast and type in astrology meditations and you will find them there. So let's move into the transits, where we have a very short week. We have one singular day, August 7th, Wednesday is our highlight of the day. And we have two transits. The first is Sun sextile Jupiter.
So this is the Sun in Leo. So we've got a very prominent, important Leo Sun. That's where Leo Sun is ruled by Leo. And is making a sextile. So it's an opportunity aspect to Jupiter. And Jupiter is Zeus. Jupiter is the expansion. But Jupiter's in Gemini, where he went in about 2 months ago and stays there for 1 year. So he's here for a while. And he's in Gemini. And they're meeting at 15 degrees of their respectful signs. So this is like an announcement. Gather a very productive meeting, a very productive group. something to learn, to teach, to connect. The Jupiter here in Gemini does say, big productions, big episodes that are, multiples. So it's many people or many teachings, because Gemini is the planet of information, the details, and Jupiter is the planet of wisdom and big idea, big thought, like psychological, higher thought, wise, what the wise woman says, right? So, it's kind of like, if you can gather that or have this feeling of, I need to get out there now, I need to get it, right? It's going to be easy for you to get. You just have to approach it. Now, there's going to be a test time coming up in about a little bit over a month. The test time will be the square. So if you're thinking of this productive meeting group thing that you want to put together, that you want to teach, you want to do a program, we have to think, twice, or we think 3 times, because we got the Mercury, the ruler of Jupiter. Mercury rules Gemini. Mercury is retrograde, right? He just went retrograde a couple days ago. So, there's going to be a test time, and that's going to be on right around September 12th, when the sun now goes into Mercury sign, into Virgo, making a square to Jupiter in Mercury's other sign, Gemini. So really interesting that, both the sun and the Jupiter will be in Mercury sign. So this kind of is like, will be in his own sign, and is no longer in shadow period. Is out of shadow period. And he's a morning star. Mercury will be a morning star. So a morning star has the Promethean energy. For any of you that went with me to the Mexico Mercury retreat earlier this year, it's that what's coming forward before the sun, what is being connected or announced, or hear ye ahead of the sun. So, but you're in a period of I don't even know, is beta even a word anymore? Like when I say beta testing, is that still a word?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because it's kind of like a preparation time to announce, to see who's interested, kind of make an announcement that, oh, I'm going to be doing this, in maybe September and October. I know I'm working with a client right now who's doing a massive production. And so I was giving her dates, things to work on with her team, because it's, it's time to peak right around September 12th, like what worked, what didn't work. But I happened to write, are you signed up or signing up for one of the retreats? I know, we were talking about Greece being sold out this year.
Right.
I'm going to Greece. We are going back to Greece next year in September of 25.
Right.
But some people are already asking me the dates on those. But there you go. The sun sextile Jupiter. Yeah.
Yes. And the same day, August 7th, Wednesday, Mercury retrograde conjunct Venus.
Right. So that, Venus and Mercury, Venus is moving forward. Mercury is moving backwards. So they're like, whoop, like, hello there, at 3 degrees of Virgo, which Mercury's placement. And this is like apologies or rules, right? With this Mercury passing back over Venus, what needs to be expressed, right? What kind of love, connection, what needs to be explained or apologized, or, hey, that thing that happened a while ago, or this thing, what, I've just had a time to update my thought around that, right? Or I got an update from whatever the situation was. So there's a recent conversation that needs more discussion. Maybe an apology is required. Is there something around forgiveness? Go back to June 17th, because that was the last time that they met up while he was direct. And it was very interesting. They met up at 0 Cancer. And 0 Cancer is one of the Aries star points.
Mm.
So, just interesting. So Venus is getting rules of the game plan, so just interesting to see what can come up.
Okay, and that is a wrap on our entire week. So we have a very light week. And shall we move into Talisman times, where you have an upcoming
Yeah.
to create harmony with intellectual growth. This is your upcoming Talisman on Friday, August 9th.
This is the moon in Libra making a beautiful trine to Jupiter. And this is about my heart and mind blend and dance together as one. My expressive true self is weaving a symphony of abundance. We've got the sun coming up over the horizon. This again, I've been making a lot of talismans with, sun and Leo, which, you have to put the sun and Leo right on the ascendant, which means, 5:30, 6 a.m. I'm up early catching the solar energy coming up to greet us, where we then, turn toward it. It's interesting, if you ever, which I just did this morning again, if anybody has plants, right? You have plants, house plants inside your house. And if they're by a window, which they should be, right? Some of these should,
Right. They're probably not alive if they're not.
notice these leaves, these branches, these, are leaning, they lean toward the sun, right? And then you often have to spin the pot so that they can start leaning the other way and it's this constant like movement of, I need you, sun, right? Like I am wanting some of your nourishment. I'm needing some of your heat. So the sun in Leo, it's a fixed fire. So it really has that, that strength and determination to stay in the heat, stay on the fire. So
Right.
just, I just turned my plants this morning. I'm sure people do that, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
you got this
Once you
thing,
notice, once you notice that
these
they're
like
chipping.
arms reaching out to the window and maybe even climbing up the window, right?
Right.
So you got to turn them every once in a while, just like we do. We need to, face the sun to get
Right.
our face full, and then we need to turn so
And
we don't
refocus our
burn.
attention. Right.
Don't get burned.
So the talisman of the month for August is to be self-aware. I easily radiate energy, self-confidence, and a favorable demeanor. I am noticed as I take my daily approach to my center stage. This is such Leo energy, really commanding the stage and stepping out into the world as your courageous self.
Hey, even if that's going to the grocery store, right? Even if that's going to the post office, your center stage for today. Let's see what's mine. I do have to go to the post office. That's a center stage, right? Got to do the podcast. That's my center stage, right? So I love this talisman. I'm surprised it's still it has is an offer, right? So
Right.
um
And don't
that's
forget that the talisman of the month is a very special offer because you both get a shipping credit and it is discounted. So let's move on to the horizon, where we have our last announcement to watch the astrology webinar for the 2024 political conventions. That is available on our Patreon page or on the website to pre-purchased individually. So check out those links and take a look at that webinar. Very interesting how things played out as Sandy and Susan were kind of delving through it astrologically. So, also we have our August astrology forecast and cheat sheet ready and available to all of our Patreon members. So if you have not subscribed or joined us over there, make sure to join us on Patreon, where you can have questions answered and you receive your monthly forecast and cheat sheet every month. We are officially sold out for our Greece retreat, so I will be removing that from our list of things to discuss. But there's always 2025. So if you are interested in that, you can email us and we can start discussions on what those dates are.
I already know.
Would you like to announce them now?
September 15th through the 22nd of
Okay.
2025. Amargos Island, Greece. Yeah.
Mhm.
And right now, this will be, because this will be my third one there in a row. So then I'll probably take a break and go look somewhere else in the world to
Mhm.
retreat, as I'm doing Tuscany next year as well. So I'd like to, it's kind of like, where do I want to run a retreat? Where do I want to go?
Right.
I do love Greece, so I'm gonna probably put that back on the calendar, but not right now. It's not going on 2026. Um, but maybe, I don't know, 2027. We'll see. But anyway, it is on the calendar, already contracted in. We are set to go.
Mhm. Don't forget that our 2024 Egypt retreat is still available October 9th through the 19th. We met up with the fellow retreat leaders, both Zephi and Mahmoud, and we have a special YouTube conversation between all four of us. If you are interested in learning a little bit about what is included in this retreat, it is an absolute adventure going from land to air to sea, all in Egypt with this wonderful tour guide, Manmut, and Zephi and Sandy. So, I mean, like, it's if there's any way to go and explore Egypt, that is definitely the way.
Right through, Zephi doing the high the activations at all the temple openings.
Mhm.
We'll go into the temple where she will activate our all of our 7 chakras. I'm doing the solar astrology for everyone. I'm finding really good information on that. Of course, I don't know Egyptian astrology, but I've been studying it for the last 4 months, since I knew 4 or 5 months maybe. And of course, watching all the documentaries, and I mean, they're still discovering stuff. Literally, they are
Mhm.
still discovering things actually under the sea by Alexandria. So the Mediterranean is still being. They just found something in 2021 that is part
Wow.
of the temple in Egypt. So maybe we'll be discovering something, and something for
Maybe some
sure about ourselves.
excavations. Right.
Certainly about ourselves. But the hot air balloon over the desert, the sleeping in the desert, with the blanket of stars over our bodies, and the 3 nights, 4 days on the Nile and then Dahaba. I can't wait.
It's gonna be so cool.
I've never been there, so this will be an experience. So, hey, if you're interested in coming on an inaugural in it, I didn't scout this one, so it's an inaugural.
Yes. And January 4th through the 11th of 2025, we have our Mexico retreat where Sandy and Christine Flowers are going to be giving you the basics of, excuse me, the basics of astrology and human design and how they
Mhm.
kind of intersect in your own personal data. Um, it's going to be, I think, probably the first of its kind. I've never heard of anyone doing, a joint retreat with both of these
Yeah,
denominations and
yeah.
things like that, so it's gonna be very interesting.
Yeah, and she's really brilliant. She has been studying this for years, and we're already filling up. So
Yay.
sign up. It's available, and there still is the early bird for just another couple weeks.
Mhm. So if you are interested in joining us for any of these retreats and you have a few questions, remember you can get a free 15-minute call with Sandy. That link is in the show notes. So let's move into our house, our final section of the podcast, where we chat about majority of the time some personal things on the horizon or what has happened. And you just recently went out to a time left dinner, which when you first asked me, like, did I ever hear about time left? I was like, is this like a weird calendar that tells you like how many days you have left to live? But no, it's not that at all. Um, Tell us a little bit about it.
I've never heard of it before, but I have a client in DC who said, no, because we were talking about, her chart, and I said, there's just a big emphasis on socialization and finding your people, finding your friends. And she goes, oh my gosh, I signed up for time left. And I'm like, tell me more. So I went on, and it's an app. It's not a dating app. They must say that 5 times before you scroll around. It is not a dating app, but it is a like-minded dinner. And they do this all around the world. So, I mean, I'm here in Chicago. There were 2 places in Chicago that I could have said, hey, this area in Chicago or that area in Chicago, right? So, of course, I picked the closest area, which was really downtown. And you sign up. You can go on for a monthly subscription, or you can just do it singularly. And I did a singular, like, I just want to try this out. Because I've got something in my chart that says for me to expand my horizons in a socialization also. So I think I paid $16 to sign up for one of these dinners, and they only do it on Wednesday nights, but it's every Wednesday night, and it's really wherever you travel. So maybe when I go to Greece, or can see who's out there. It's a perfect way to meet others if you're, traveling in a different part of the world, or even in the United States. And because all the major cities have it. And don't know why they call it time left, but the premise is you sign in, fill out, and I do like they ask zodiac signs, right? The zodiac sign. Kind of how would you describe and they're all multiple choice, not multiple. Yeah. Like you get to pick. It's not like you have to write a profile, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like you just go multiple choose. Like, what would you consider yourself? Right. What kind of conversations do you like? Da, 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 right. Are you married? Like all this stuff. And then they pair you up with 5 other people that have similar interests.
Very cool.
Right. And you don't know where you're going until the day before. Well, the day before you get a text message saying, hey, you're all set tomorrow night at 7. Don't forget. But we won't tell you where you're going until 9 a.m. the next day, right? The day of the dinner. So at 9 a.m., sure enough, boom, I get a text saying, here's your reservation. This is the time. You're at table number 2. And you're going to see a Scorpio, a Virgo. Of course, I was the Pisces. You're going to see a Aries. And it was like, oh, this is interesting. And you're going to see a financial person, a healthcare person, a business owner. That was me, because they didn't have astrology as one of the check marks. And they just say, okay, right? And then at 7, 8, so you meet at 7. So, get down there, you walk in, you go to the hostess. And I said, table 2. And she's like, oh, and I look, and there's a lady already sitting there. So she's like, hi. So I was the second one there. And it turned out to be 5 of us, me and 4 others. And they were women that were basically my age, maybe 10 years younger and 7 years older than me. But it's all women. And 3 of us had been there. It's our first time. The other 2 had done this one other time, and there were men at their table. And they said it was just really fun. And then we get another ding on our phone, and we assigned one of the ladies to read these questions. And she would read the question, and we would just, pop around. And one of them was, what's the greatest pickup line you used or was used on you?
Oh, wow.
So it was really funny listening to everybody's pickup line. They had to go, but hey, listen, this pickup line came in like 50 years ago.
Right.
But just kind of coming up with some of these questions and answers was like profound, right? Because it's like you're sharing some things with people who can judge you or not judge you for who you are, right? Because they don't know you,
Hmm.
right? They don't know you. And then, of course, the waitress comes over and she gets your name and takes your order, and you're only paying for your meal. It was lovely. We stayed for about a little over 2 hours. Um, yeah, it was lovely. One particular lady I had more of a synergy with, but just listening to what everybody does and how they've come through. And the older lady was like, yeah, shows a picture of this guy on her phone. She goes, yeah, this is who's calling me now, right? Because the phone rang and it was, we're like, oh, guy, right? Like she was the like 75-year-old. So it was
The
just,
vixen.
it was just, it was fun. I would do it again. I don't know with my schedule that I would sign up as like a, uh, like a subscriber.
Monthly. Hmm.
Yeah, but I would pay the $16. And so I've got, I'm quite busy on Wednesday evenings because I do my horary class, but there's one Wednesday of the month that I'm free. And so I'll probably do it again the end of this month. So try it out,
Yeah.
guys. If it's in your town, literally TIMELEFT, time left.
Right. And I mean, just with that name, I really didn't know what to expect when you were asking me about it. But once you were telling me all about it, I was like, this is a very cool thing where, your guard is down, you're at dinner, you're, just discussing and telling people about yourself. It's very cool. So
Yeah,
I'm really
and
glad that you enjoyed it, and I'm happy that it was a fun time.
yeah, and they'll say there's a thing on the app and it'll say at 9 p.m. we're going to give you the location for your after dinner drink. Should your group want to continue on for an after dinner drink versus staying at the restaurant for another.
Okay.
You know?
Uh-huh.
So when we got there, because it was table 1 and table 2, so I was at table 2, and of course the ladies were my age-ish, but at the table 1, there were like 6 or 7 people, and they were all more your age, 30s, 40s. And I kind of, and I looked over and said, are you guys here for time left? They're like, yeah. And I said, it's my first time. And they're like, yeah, it's most of us, it's our first time. So it's a brand new thing that it's just kind of catching on.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we get our thing, our 9 p.m. And I'm like, and I said, are you guys going to the after dinner to the group 1? And they're like, yeah, we're enjoying our conversation. And so they were heading to their,
Oh, great.
they were in their 30s. So they were heading out, but we were heading home.
You're right.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And yeah, that's what it's about. Just like going and having, that was even a little mini adventure in your own backyard.
And
So
they vet all of the restaurants, right? And the restaurants know we're coming and know we're paying individually. And I will say the restaurant choice happened to be a food. It's at the bottom of my barrel of the food that I like since I got super sick when I went to India. But I found something, to eat. And
yeah, and it was mainly about, connecting with some new people that you might not normally get the chance to connect with. So very cool. I'm glad you enjoyed. And I think that is going to be a wrap on this episode for our podcast. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to our fun adventures. And we will see you all next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of you. story.